Life sentences for 8 Bahraini opposition members. Others also imprisoned, accused of playing a part in trying to overthrow the government. The verdicts handed down just days before the Bahraini authorities start a national dialogue for reconciliation. What message does this send out, and who is going to want to talk now? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Laura Kyle. A special military court in Bahrain has convicted 21 mostly Shia activists of conspiring to overthrow the government during widespread street protests earlier this year. 8 have been handed life sentences, others terms up to 15 years. Some were sentenced in absentia. Charles Stratford has our full report.
First came the protests. Tens of thousands of men, women and children from all walks of life marching through the streets of Manama demanding political change and more equal rights. Then came the crackdown. Hundreds arrested, many beaten and seriously wounded by security services. A brutality that was never expected. It shocked this tiny Gulf nation and those in the media who witnessed it. But when the journalists left, many banned from returning, the trials began. The verdicts are now being handed down. 21 opposition figures and rights activists sentenced, 6 in absentia. The 8 given life sentences include Hassan Moshema, leader of Haq party, his colleague Abdul Jalil al-Sengais, Abdul Wahab Hussein, leader of Al-Wafa. Both parties had called for the Bahraini monarchy to go. Also getting a life term is rights activist Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja. His family say he has been repeatedly tortured in jail. The US president recently said there can be no reform in Bahrain if the political opposition are locked up. Only last week, Washington put its major ally and home to the US Fifth Fleet on the same human rights violators lists as Syria and Iran. Following the sentences, a State Department spokesman said, "We are concerned about the severity of the sentences handed down in Bahrain. We're also concerned about the use of military courts to try these civilians. We continue to urge the Bahraini government to abide by its commitment to transparent judicial proceedings." The Bahraini government has called for a period of national dialogue and reconciliation starting July the 1st. The largest opposition party, Al-Wafaq, says any such talk now is totally unrealistic. Protesters braved the security forces once again after the sentences were handed down. Police raids, intimidation and arrests continue more than 3 months after the attempt to silence Bahrainis wanting political change began. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera.
So clearly these sentences have brought once again anger onto the streets of Bahrain. To look more at the ramifications here, we're joined by our guests in London. Sa'id al-Shihhabi, member of the Bahrain Freedom Movement, who on Wednesday was sentenced in absentia to life in prison in Bahrain. In Washington, D.C., we have Joe Stork, Deputy Director of Human Rights Watch Middle East Division. He's written extensively on issues of torture within Bahrain. And on the line from Manama, Dr. Saadi Mohammed Abdallah, former member of the Bahraini Parliament. Thank you all, gentlemen, for being with us today. First of all, I want to take a look at these trials and their sentences. Sa'id al-Shihhabi, I'll start with you. What do you know about the proceedings in your case, and did you ever expect it to be handed a life sentence?
Well, I was never notified of any proceeding against myself. Nobody told me that I was going to be tried. No summons was ever held for me. Of course, they would say because you are living outside, fine. But when they wanted me to talk to them, they were able to contact me. And when they wanted to burn my house 2 years ago, they knew where it was, and they did. When they wanted to beat up and to attack Ali Mushema and Abbas al-Umran, they knew where they were. So there is no problem with contacting us if they wanted to, but they didn't. So I was not aware about any proceedings, of course, and I was not expecting to get such a harsh sentence because we did not commit any crime. The crimes were committed by the regime. Yes, we did participate in demonstrations. We did call for a government change. We did call for reforms, but we never acted upon making any violence of any sort. So the sentence has been harsh and unjustified, especially that it came from a military court under Saudi occupation.
Okay, Dr. Saadi Mohammed Abdullah, how do you answer that? Why was Saeed al-Shihaabi handed a life sentence?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to understand that Bahrain is a kingdom of institutions and laws. Bahrain is not a jungle. Bahrain has laws, and one of the laws is penal code. Anybody who breaks up this law has to be punished according to his crime. Now, during what they call a revolution, or what they call is a peaceful revolution, this was completely unpeaceful, and it is not a revolution. This is a sectarian revolution, if it is right to say that it was a revolution. Many people think they committed many crimes. They killed many people, especially from the Asians there. They occupied the main hospital in Bahrain, and they took hostages there. They kept weapons there. They destroyed the university. They blocked all the main streets in the roads. They occupied the main ministries. They harmed the people. They spread the terror in Bahrain, and yet he is saying that we did not commit any crime.
Okay, I'll just cut in there because plenty of allegations which it's only fair to pass back to Saeed al-Shihaabi to answer.
Well, I don't think I have to answer that because the international community had already answered that. You just look at the media, at the human rights bodies, to say who was at fault, who committed the crimes, who killed at least 4 people under torture. Karim Fakhrawi, Hassan Jassim Makki, Zakaria al-Ashiri and others, who had killed more than 32 Bahrainis by swords or by live bullets. And all their images are available, all of them, their images are available. So we have to be told who had killed these people, who have destroyed the mosques of the Bahrainis, who had brought the Saudis into the country and ceded or conceded the sovereignty of the land to a foreign power. So we have to answer. I think the international community, is united in confirming what I have just said. I think our friend in Bahrain is just repeating what we have heard from the mouthpieces of the regime.
Okay, Joe Stork, 2 clearly very opposing views presented there. What do you make of the way these trials were carried out?
Well, the first point to make is that the trials are military trials. They're a special military court. The judges, the top judge, the presiding judge is a military man, an officer. All the judges, him and the 2 civilian judges, are appointed by the commander of the Bahrain Defense Forces. The setting is in the BDF area, the Bahrain Defense Forces area, the courtroom. So in all respects, it's a military court. Our guest from Bahrain is correct that Bahrain does have many laws. Many of them are very good laws, but these laws were completely ignored in the conduct of these trials. The gentlemen who were sentenced, the 14 who were present and sentenced yesterday, were picked up in many cases in the middle of the night by masked security, people without uniforms, masked. They were taken to unknown locations where they were held for weeks, in some cases months. Their families did not know where they were. They had no access to lawyers. These are in complete violation of Bahraini laws, not to mention international standards. So I'm afraid whatever crimes protesters or non-government people, ordinary Bahrainis, may have committed in the course of the demonstrations or afterwards, if there were crimes committed, they should be investigated, they should be prosecuted, but they should be prosecuted before a court that meets fair trial standards.
Dr. Saadi Mohammed Abdullah, it is true, isn't it, that these are civilians who've been tried in a military court under special conditions of an emergency law?
No, because we were in the emergency law, and you cannot imply the civilian laws during the pure civilian law when you have emergency laws. First of all, I have to clarify that all those people, they had a fair trial. All the guarantees that had been provided for them. They had their lawyers. They had their families
this
with
is
them.
Simply untrue.
All the NGOs were there.
This is simply not true.
No, this is true. And this is true.
This
and
is not true.
I have this is true. Some of my friends, they were attending there, and people representing the human rights were there. People from the...
They were not there. I'm sorry. There was no one from the international human rights community there. There was no one there.
There were people from the National Commission. We have
appointed by the government. People appointed by the government.
People appointed. This is the National Commission for the Human Rights of Bahrain, and there's Abdullah Darazi. Abdullah Darazi, he attended once there. He is not representing the official one. He is not representing the official one. He is representing the human rights, and it is a civilian one. It does not have to do with. It's not representing the official one.
Well, tell me, is Abdullah Darazi able to talk publicly about what he saw in the courroom? Is he able to talk with us? I don't think so.
He can talk. No. Don't assume things that you instead of him. He can talk freely, and we don't like anybody to fabricate the pure picture about our country. They are saying that those people, they committed the crime. They committed the crime. They have their lawyers.
What crimes was committed? What crimes was committed by Hassan Mshayma or by Abdul Wahab Hussein or by Abdul Jalil Singais?
Hassan Mshayma, first of all, he was the one who wanted to overthrow the regime. He was the one.
Is that a crime? Is that a crime to? Is that a crime to call for a regime change?
Of course, it's a crime. We have a penal code. You go to Iran, and ask for the change of their regime. You will see that they will hang.
I'm talking about my country. I'm not talking about Iran.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Bahrain. Because we are in Bahrain, they are implementing all the laws and according to the international standards. You people, you have been living.
So you think calling for a change of government is a crime?
No. You have been attacking Bahrain, and you have been fabricating all the facts about Bahrain. You have been telling lies
about the ruling family, not about Bahrain. About the ruling family, yes, but not about Bahrain.
Okay, Dr.